All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking this out. This is the Pro America perspective. So, guys, I want to talk about this headline out of the Hill today. Trump says he is withholding SNAP benefits until shutdown ends. Now, that's not the reason for the video. The reason for the video is to talk about why pro-Americans, people like myself who believe in Americans, don't support these government programs designed to make sure you quote unquote never have to go without. Um, because in America, this is not how we built this place. Okay, we built this place on the backs of hard work, ingenuity, figuring things out. And the more and more you have government come in and tell us that we can't do these things for ourselves, that they have to feed us, that they have to house us, that they have to buy our clothing and pay our medical bills, the more and more the government tries to protect us from ourselves, the least amount of autonomy we're going to have. We're going to be totally dependent on the government for everything. And this is what I think this shutdown is exposing. A lot of people aren't paying attention to it. But if you look at what this shutdown is exposing, it is exposing just how dang big the government got. Yeah, it started with Obamacare. And I knew it then. The thing I was telling people back in those days was, guys, this all this is another way to hand the government over more rights, more money, more of our property, more of our freedoms. This is a Trojan horse. And it's exactly what Obamacare has turned out to be, a Trojan horse for expecting the government to cover all your needs. And it's done nothing but grow since it's been passed. I mean, when you think about the fact that they used COVID to further expand the welfare state, which is why SNAP got so big. It's because government is looking for any opportunity to cradle us. And this is doing nothing but weakening society. If you look at the Mandami race, this guy doesn't even have to promote anything American. I've never seen one American flag. I never hear him, thank his parents for bringing him up in a nation where he's granted all these freedoms and all this ability to make something of himself. His whole speech, at least from what I've seen, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but his whole campaign is about what everyone's entitled to. Everyone's entitled to free buses. Everyone's entitled to free housing. Everyone's entitled to free medical care. No wonder New York wants to vote for the guy. I would. I mean, New Yorkers aren't crazy. When you're being given, at least promised everything. Now, I'm not going to say they're being given anything, but what they're doing is they're promising people the world, and you're making people essentially an offer they can't refuse. It's really not fair to the electorate to promise them things you know you can't deliver, or you know you're going to need a lot of partnerships to even try to deliver. So this hustle about telling people you're going to get in and you're going to supply all their needs, it's an old tired rap, and it's really dragging America down, and it really is showing the world that we are extremely vulnerable, and anytime they want to make a move, God forbid, we're not going to be able to do anything about it because we're so handicapped by our own infirmaries, by our own government. Now, let's take a look here at what's going on in this article from The Hill. It seems like Trump has gotten a hold of this. Trump understands this innately, which is why he's not just going to hand out the SNAP benefits as the judges ordered because this is an emergency. First of all, Trump understands that this quote unquote emergency is no such thing. This is simply the Democrats refusing to come and forward and sign what's needed to get the government moving forward. That's all this is. This is not an emergency. This could be stopped tomorrow. The emergency that Congress has in mind when they decide they're going to put contingency plans in place are things like the economy crashes, we get a pandemic, um, you know, anything beyond the control of the Congress. And this is entirely within Congress's control. So they don't have a leg to stand on, regardless of some left wing feminist judge saying that this needs to go out, despite the fact that it's a contingency. We're not even giving people a chance to see if they figure it out. You got food banks that can open. We got People can grow food, for crying out loud. We can pool together resources. We don't automatically have to go right to the government and fear for our lives. I can't help but think that's a programming because it's literally all in our heads. Even before this thing ran out, I mean, people knew 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time that it could run out. You think they planned? Do you think they got a backup, their own contingency in place? No, they went on with their lives. Hey, the government will figure it out. They're not going to stop my entitlements. They need my vote too much. They're going to give me my benefits. And nothing could be further from the truth. If you believe that, people, you're lying to yourself. The government does not prioritize you in that way, especially if you're on a government program. So if you want to be second fiddle, if you want to be second class, the best way to do that is to seek out these government programs and get on them. Now, am I talking about the few million Americans who might actually need it? Before you guys start talking about how callous I am, I'm not talking about the few people that need it. As a matter of fact, if there weren't so many moochers, the people that need it wouldn't even need to be worried right now. There'd be plenty of money left, even without going to a contingency, because they don't have as many people on it. During COVID, the Democrats looked for an opportunity to blow this thing up to 50 million people. 50 million people need some type of benefit. You can't tell me all 50 million people have to rely on SNAP. No, what the Biden administration did was lower the rules, and I checked it out. If you don't believe me, check it out. They lowered the requirements so low that anybody can join SNAP. It's not anything at all to get on the program. And it's ripe for abuse. It's ripe for fraud. These are the things that cause these programs to balloon out of control. It's the same thing they're trying to address with Obamacare. They are trying to rein in some of this stuff because the liberals, all they want to do is spin, spin, spin. People say, well, why? We're being taxed. No, we're not. We're borrowing this money. Our kids and grandkids and their kids are going to have to pay this. So this is not something that is self-sustaining. This is bleeding more and more of the taxpayers' money, and Trump sees that, and he's not going to just hand out SNAP benefits just because some judge says to. And I'm proud of that, because I was starting to wonder, where is the spine on these Republicans? Every time a judge issues some unlawful order, I've noticed that the Trump administration doesn't seem to fight it too much. Maybe they have some other plan in place, but as of right now, these judges, I don't even get excited when I hear about a new piece of legislation or a new executive order that I think might help, because I know in a few days some judge is going to put an injunction on it or overturn it or stop it altogether. So it doesn't even make sense to get excited about this stuff. Fact is that the president is the authority on how this money gets handed out, and hopefully they're taking the reins back. Now, with all that being said, let's take a look at this article. I want to point out a few things on it. And by the way, guys, if you like this content, do me a favor, like this video and leave me some comments. I'd love to dialogue with you guys. I really appreciate the growth in the channel, but I'd also love some dialogue with you. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at this article. This is from The Hill. Trump says he's withholding SNAP benefits until the shutdown ends, and good on him. Says President Trump signaled Tuesday he would be withholding Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, or SNAP, benefits until the radical left Democrats open up government, as many states grapple with the lapse in funding. Trump, in a post on Truth Social, wrote, SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars manyfold during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed out to anyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up government, which they can easily do, but not before. Okay, so this is Trump standing up to the judge. This is Trump saying that this is not an emergency. This is a manipulation by the Democrats to do what? I don't know, get $1 trillion more in spending, to overturn the filibuster, to pad themselves against the flood of losses they're taking by people just leaving the party. So now they got to rig it this way. We know the Democrats rig things, and they use whatever they can to rig whatever they need to rig. I hate to sound so forceful about them, but this is where this party leads us to. And now we got to come clean it up. The White House noted the fund has $4.65 billion available for household, which is not enough to even cover a month. Amid the confusion, the U.S. Department of Agriculture told grocery stores they were prohibited from offering SNAP discounts to recipients during the shutdown. This is also something that is very bothersome. I mean, we're on a program that $4.65 billion won't even last it a month. Now, you got to look at the numbers here, folks. if we had the accurate numbers, the numbers of people who probably legitimately deserve SNAP, we'd be talking about 10 to 15 million people. And that 4.65 billion could go a lot further to feed the 10 million people or so who would actually need SNAP. But as it stands, with 50 million people and counting, there's not going to ever be enough in the contingency plan to cover people for very long. So what they're trying to do is take small plans, small ideas designed to help a small amount of people and fit everybody in the country into these programs. And don't get me wrong, the Democrats would be happy if food provision by the government was the standard. They would love nothing more than that, than for all of us to be going to the government every day for our food. Then they don't have to politic. Then they don't have to convince us of their ideas because we rely on them for our food, our housing, our clothing, our medicine. This is why the Democrats are moving more into this socializing, because they know that they don't have a message. They don't have anything to inspire people. So what they need to do is feed them, clothe them, house them. That way you can't disagree. Come election day, what are you going to do? Go vote for the other guy who's promising to run on values? It's not going to happen. So Trump withholding this and not playing into the Democrats' scare tactics and the media scare tactics, because the media is definitely who the Democrats relied on to scare Trump into submission. But it's just not working. Trump seems to be standing his ground, and then we need him to, because if we don't, we'll lose America. Look at what's going on in New York. Like I said, here's a candidate who never references anything good about the country, only what he's going to pillage. And that's what's getting him votes. And there's something to me very messed up about that. It goes on to say here that Trump feels like he actually is complying with the order. It says the administration is fully complying with the order. The recipients of these benefits need to understand it's going to take some time to receive this money because the Democrats have forced the administration into a very untenable position. We are digging into a contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into this fund in the future. And that's what he's referring to in his Truth Social post. Now, I'm glad she came and cleaned it up or whatever. That's fine. But Trump knows what the deal is. He knows that they can stall this thing out as long as they need to, buy time, and hopefully protect the Democrats against themselves. Because once this money's depleted, the Democrats are just going to get ruder and uglier about other sources needed to fund it, taking away from others. They're already taking away from most of their constituents by holding up the government until they get some type of a plan on Obamacare that they approve of, even though they're in the minority. They're already stretching the lines out at the TSA and at the airports. They're already doing a lot of damage. And this is just one more thing. And I'm glad that Trump is saying, hey, no. Despite what the judge says, this is the government. And we're not just going to hand out checks. We're not just going to throw out money. You guys remember doing Katrina and doing doing COVID. Government was just handing out checks, throwing out debit cards. We can't do that, folks. That's the most un-American thing you can do. In these times of crisis that challenge us, how about seeing if we can rise to meet the challenge before coming out so quick with our hands out? Maybe there's an opportunity there. Maybe there's some way to grow. Maybe there's some way to even more appreciate the freedoms and the bounty that we have versus just being so entitled. I think that's why liberals are always so angry, is because they're always so entitled. We've lost our sense of community. So all we depend on is the government to get us by, and it's got to stop. And maybe this shutdown could be an opportunity for us to understand we don't need the government as much as we think we do. All right, guys? Well, that's all I got on this one. I just wanted to touch bases with you guys, give you my live reaction. I just saw this story. Once again, I want to thank you guys for subscribing and for checking out the videos. Please do me a favor. Leave me some comments. Let's start a dialogue. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next video. And this is the Pro-America Perspective, guys. Peace out.